Can anybody see me?
Yep, we see you.
Yeah.
All right.
Your turn's coming up in about 5 minutes.
All
No
right,
rush
just give
at
me
all.
1 second.
Christian, how do I put everybody on the video?
There should be a view in your upper right-hand corner. You should be able to change the view to be gallery view, and you should be able to see everybody. All right, Chairman, you're all set to begin.
Thank you very much, and welcome to the Hillsborough Township Historic Preservation Commission meeting for April 15th, 2021. This meeting will be conducted virtually. All commission members and staff will be participating remotely. The public will be given an opportunity to participate remotely through the advertised Zoom link or optional phone number identified in the public meeting notice. Application documents have been made available at the Civic Clerk website in accordance with the public meeting notice. Let's rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This meeting has been duly advertised according to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, Sunshine Law. Notice of the 2021 annual meeting schedule has been provided to the officially designated newspapers, the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex, and posted to the Township's website. Additional notice has been provided to communicate that this meeting is being conducted according to the governor's executive orders and pursuant to PL 2020 C11, which allows for meetings to be conducted electronically. Mr. Stollery, if you're ready, can you call the roll?
Tim, you're on mute.
No, I'm here.
Start over, Tim, without mute.
No, Mr. Stollery, you're on mute.
No,
There you go.
too many Tims.
Never enough.
Never enough.
I can't hear anything. Is everybody not hearing anything?
Hello. I'm here.
No, we hear you, Adonis. Hold on. We'll let you know when it's your turn, okay?
All right, thanks.
I'm just looking for a rundown here so I can
should be on
properly talk.
Should be on the first page.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm on two different computers here. All right, I'll just wing it. So, Mr. Chairman Gillette,
Here,
Mr. Johnson,
Here.
the other Tim, Mr. Coyle,
Here.
Ms. Blair Nunn.
Here.
Who am I missing? Oh, Susan Gulliford.
Here.
Blair. I'm sorry. Who else? Who did I say?
Still here.
okay, you Shari,
Oh, Sharon.
Arcuri, not
No,
present.
yeah, she said she wasn't coming.
Arnold Ratty,
Arnold.
Arnold.
I don't see Arnold here either.
not present. Guy Cunningham,
Not present.
not present. Doug Thompson,
Not present.
Jeffrey Wright, not present. Okay, and that's enough for a quorum. Thanks, Tim. Sharpen your pencil because we have a couple of applications, but first let's look quickly at the February 18th, 2021 minutes. They were in your packet. Also, you also got got it by email. When you're ready, someone make a motion to approve the minutes.
Chairman, just for the record that you have Patrick Gorman and
I'm
William
sorry,
Willard,
yes,
William Willard as well, the township attorney, and Fred Kinsler, IT, just for record.
absolutely, yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Also in attendance are Patrick Gorman and Mr. Willard, Mr. Kinsler for the township. Okay. You guys have all had the minutes, so when you're ready, make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as
Okay.
printed, as
Okay,
presented.
do I hear a second? Was that somebody?
I wasn't present, so.
Okay.
I wasn't present either, Greg.
I seconded. I was there.
Okay, second, okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No, any abstentions? Okay, minutes passed. All right, so, let's see. Let me go back to the main thing here. Okay, is there anyone here for business from the floor for a matter that's not on today's agenda? Anyone from the public? We'll discuss from business from the members after the applications, but there's anyone here from the public to discuss a matter that's not on tonight's agenda?
All right, Chairman, let me, again, if you have a matter not on the agenda, I'm gonna open up this one hand to see if they, have something. If you could please state your name and address for the record, unmute yourself, state your name and address for the record. And again, this is for matters not on the agenda. So Elizabeth, are you there?
Muted.
Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, Elizabeth, are you there?
You're unmuted on this.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
What, do you have a question for this committee that's not for something that's on the agenda this evening?
They're asking you a question.
I wanted to be part of this and you didn't seem to let me in. So now I know.
Okay, well, no, you're fine. You're in the meeting. You can hear us, I'm sure, but we don't allow you to speak until it's your turn. So if you don't have any questions, you just want to listen. When it's time for questions on the agenda, you'll be given another turn.
Then I just raised my hand.
You just raise your hand. That's correct.
Okay, fine. I didn't know
Okay,
that
thank
was
you.
on.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay,
I
so,
see no other, Chairman. You can go ahead.
okay, so we're gonna go to the, we have two applications. It shows as 3 items on the agenda, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The first one is for block 205.11, lot 4802, 1760 Millstone River Road. The applicant seeking a favorable recommendation to allow an in-ground swimming pool on property in the Millstone Valley Historic District and identified in the National Register of Historic Places. That's Mr. Basil.
Yes.
There he is. Okay, there he is again. All right, so would you like to tell us a little bit about the project? We're going to take a quick vote to determine whether or not this is a minor or a major application, and then we'll have a chance to ask you some questions about it.
Yes, thank you. It's we're gonna put an in-ground pool, mostly this year because we can't travel. Nobody's going nowhere, and the kids are at home. The wife, some of us have some health issues, and you need something to entertain. And I got lucky with somebody who's gonna give me like a decent price, not gonna cost me a ton of money. So I think it's time to move, and I hope you guys will approve it.
Okay, so this is for an in-ground pool on a property that's in the Millstone Valley Historic District, but the house and any buildings on the property are not contributing to the district. They're all modern. I'll ask that as a question. Ms. Jones, is that correct?
You're
Mr.
asking me?
Ballas, Mr. Ballas, is that correct?
Yeah, I think,
Mr. Basil.
and it's too far from the road too. Like it's like behind the house, and you can't see it from the road. And but if you guys say I have to go and start in front of the Historic Society, I'll be happy to see a lot of familiar faces and good people that I know.
All right, so this is so let me reiterate again for the commissioners. The property is in the historic district, but the house is a non-contributing house. It's an in-ground pool. Our first question, would this be considered a major or a minor application? Let's solve that first.
Mr. Joy, this is Fred Kinsler, IT. Would you like me to share the screen to show you the plan or with the house or what we have for the document?
Sure, yeah. Let's
I don't have anything in my packet.
Sure.
Yeah, please.
Neither did I, actually. I didn't know there was anything. Oh, there we go. Okay.
So these are the documents I have. This is the first one. Kind of shows you the house property, and I assume the location of the pool. And then that's the second document that we have. I'm assuming that's the house. and
Oh,
then the
that's-
plan.
So that's the house for the pool? Because that's a historic house.
Yeah, that doesn't,
I think that's with the
jive
next
with
one.
what I, with my, with what I was told previous.
No, I think that goes with the next application, that picture.
Well, they all say Basil 1, 2, and 3. So again, I may be wrong, but these are the documents that I were given for Basil 1, 2, and 3. So I don't know.
That is the Basil house. That
That is the Basil house,
But that one is the Elmendorf house, I believe.
Right.
but this is the Basil house.
That's the Basil house
Right.
right there.
So there's a mislabel on the forms. That's why I said I wasn't sure. I just got what I got.
Yep.
And I assume this is the application, the plan for the pool.
What year was that house built?
Anybody have that information?
Yeah, what year was that house built? I'm looking at what's up now, just the survey.
Maybe Mr. Basil has that information?
Mr. Basil, I think, are you on mute? Unmute yourself, Mr. Basil, if you could. There you
Now
go.
can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's an old house.
So,
Old. I don't know exactly what year it was built, but it's pretty old.
Oh, well, that changes things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that definitely changes things, because I didn't have it as that house. I had it as a completely different house. On,
Mr. Basil, is this your property here?
Yes.
okay,
Go to the next picture with the, I think the,
Mr. Basil, is that your house?
No.
Yeah, but that's a very old picture. I know where they got this from. I think they found it online or something. But that's a very old picture. That's way a long time ago. That's before they moved. That house.
That is your house.
Yes, I think so. I'm pretty sure it is, but it looks different because that house in the year 2000 was moved up the hill. They moved it from the street all the way up the hill where it is now.
so that's the Voorhees house.
I don't know if it's the Voorhees. I don't know who it was.
Or maybe it's not.
well,
No.
That looks like the.
We gotta find out what that is, Craig.
I'm on my other computer right now,
Okay.
because I was used, so let me, I hate being wrong as soon as I start the meeting. I hate having to retract everything I just said.
Is that house opposite the causeway? It's like Blackwells
Yes,
Mills house.
yes, it is.
I remember when they moved.
Okay.
yeah, all the
Yes, exactly.
accidents used to be in front of it, the motor vehicle accidents.
Yeah. Is
'Cause
it
Yeah.
people,
it was called the Blackwells Mills house, I thought.
Yes, it probably was.
Actually, and what was who's the family who owned that? I worked on the house behind it.
Daltrui used to own it and they moved it.
yeah,
Right.
Del Troy used to
Daltrui.
always call in the
Del
motor
Troy.
vehicle accidents, right, Tim?
There we
Yeah.
go.
Yes,
Yep.
that's true.
The Daltruis used to own it. Yep. But that house was moved all the way up. And I've seen Mr. Basil's house and it doesn't look like this. I'm sorry.
So is it in that area though, Tim?
Thank you.
Is Mr. Basil's house on that spot?
If you go back to that,
Yeah.
looks like the house. 'Cause
Yeah,
he has a long driveway and then he has that parking space like right out in the front on the AD side of the house.
that's true.
Is it part of the Daltrui property
No.
or was it?
They used to own it and I bought it, they sold it to somebody and I bought it from the other people.
Huh.
They're still my neighbors. Right next door neighbors.
Okay, so
So this was built in 1810 then?
No.
I don't know.
205, yeah. So I'm wondering why Deborah didn't flag this for us as in our, as one of the houses in our, on our register, because I wouldn't have said that silly statement at the beginning.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
thought it was a completely different house.
I think I realized what happened. I think one of the photos with the register accidentally got mixed into the bunch with
Yeah.
the rest. So I apologize for the error. We'll check the file next time, but that's what I think what happened.
So, all right, I'm still a little confused though. Is this, which house is this? Is the house on our register?
It's in the MVH zone, so it does require you guys to.
No, I got you, but there's a difference between if it's contributing property or non-contributing property.
I don't think it is, because when we did the title search and everything, nothing showed up. When I bought the farm, one of the barns showed up because it was historic on the registry. But when I bought the house, nothing showed up in the title search or with the attorneys or anything.
Okay. Maybe possibly we can set the issue aside and determine, regardless of the age of the house, does the swimming pool project like this require a minor or a major application?
I would assume it's a minor.
I tend to agree with you, Tim, that this, regardless, it's a minor,
Right.
it's minor application.
Yeah.
And that house is so far off the road, and the pool is actually behind that.
Yeah.
And I would agree that this would fall under the minor status.
Okay, so
irregardless of, I mean, the house not truly being represented in that first picture.
What we're looking at.
Yeah.
all right, so without any other objection, then I could take, let's take a motion to receive this application as a minor application. I'll take a motion in a second, and we'll dispense of that, and then we can talk about the house.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion to accept this as a minor application to this location and this property in the house. What is the address of this? I didn't get the address.
1760.
Yes,
What is it, Adonis?
1760 Millstone River Road.
So
Okay, do I hear a second on that? Do I hear a
I'll
second?
second it.
All
I
right,
got it.
all in favor of accepting this application as a minor application, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so now we can, we'll dig into it for another couple of minutes, and we'll give public a chance also to weigh in on it and ask any other questions that we need to ask. I'm still looking through my own notes.
Maybe by next meeting, we can get a clearer picture of what exactly the house is, which house it is, and identify it on our listing.
Well, I'm looking through the listing right now. It is listed as, I just want to know if out in 2009, 2010, anybody went there and surveyed it in our survey. And I'm sorry that I'm not looking at it until now, but I was had completely different house in mind for some reason.
Maybe that's the problem. It was missed on our listing way back when.
Could it be missed because it was moved, this particular house?
It's possible.
Because we knew about that.
That's before my time, but like I said, that's not the house.
Wait. So when you say Tim Cueva, that's not the house.
Yeah, because I've seen his house as it exists now, and that does not look like that white, that old style house, the wood frame house that's up there.
Colonial.
That was.
Yeah.
It's not it.
That's not the house.
No.
Okay.
And that's the one that was moved, though. So there must be well, we gotta find out what.
The address, if you just Google that address online, the front of the home, the pictures that come up look like that house.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show this.
Well, I think they did a lot of changes when they moved it too.
This is
Because if you see the house now, it doesn't look old at all.
Okay. Well,
Adonis, do you know that your house is the one that got moved?
Yeah, I know that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I know,
Okay.
and I
I don't know if you
know,
can see the picture.
all right. All right.
Okay.
So let me suggest a path forward for this. We need to, first of all, it is on the, I wish we had surveyed it, but apparently we didn't for unknown reasons. But it is block 205, lot 48, I guess, although there's some numbers after that. But on the National Register nomination for the Millstone Valley Agricultural District,
Excuse me, Chairman.
it is identified as block 25, lot 48, I believe. Yes, go ahead.
This is Fred Kensler. Adonis, is that the house through the trees? Is that your house?
You're not
no,
showing it, Fred.
I think Daltrue is the one through the trees.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I can. Hold on. Is that your house?
Yeah, if the one you see in the back, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right,
Again,
so,
it kind of gives everybody a little bit of an idea of what it looks like.
all right, so
Man.
let's start. I'm going to kind of start over. This obviously is a contributing property to the district, contributing house, contributing building. Probably doesn't have a great bearing on the project contemplated because he's not changing the house, not demolishing the house, not adding to the house. He's not doing anything to the house, and not doing anything that's going to be seen in the district by anybody because it's going to be an in-ground pool. You can't even hardly see an in-ground pool at all that far back. So,
And we're doing it to match the house. It's just rectangular, simple, just like they did it years ago. You know.
yeah, nothing fancy.
Yeah, I don't want it to be I just want it to look like it matches the house.
All right. So any questions, any other questions for the applicant? And then we'll ask the public. I think we know where we're going with this. I'm sorry about that, that I didn't know about it first before I came here tonight. I was looking at something completely different. But any other questions for the applicant from the commissioners? Okay, Fred, anybody from the public on this application?
Sure. Anybody in the public have a question on this application for this swimming pool? Please raise your hand at this time. I see none, Chairman. I think you can proceed.
Okay, so this is our last chance now to for comment from us. Then I'll ask for a motion, and we'll resolve the other issue of why these are not why it's not properly in our book. We can resolve that another time. I can work on it in between meetings.
It might be lumped with the Daltrui's house. What was the Daltrui's house for some reason?
Yeah, it could be.
That might be.
Yeah.
Because I know there was a lot of different houses on that property at one time, and might have just got lost in the shuffle, as they say.
Well,
literally.
Tim and
Yes.
Tim, even in the I'm looking right now at the National Register application for that district, and there's at least 3 different houses on
on that property.
Block 25, lot 48,
Yeah.
which have all been subdivided later.
Yeah, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman, if I may, I actually know a little bit of the history on here from dealing with some past experiences about this section of town. So there was a subdivision many years ago that basically split all these houses out, and I believe Mr. Basil's house was moved as a result at one point in time. So when the survey was done, I don't think that subdivision ever happened at that point. So whoever was on the record was probably on the record at that point, or the block and lot numbers might have changed
Right.
as a result of the subdivision.
Okay. That's good to know, Patrick. I appreciate that. So any other comment on the nature of the application? Then we'll ask for a motion on what to do with it.
I
Everyone's good?
Good.
I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so I'll take a motion from somebody.
I'll make a motion to accept the application with the swimming pool, the installation of the swimming pool.
I'll second.
On block 25, lot 48.
Okay. Tim, were you going to second, Tim Johnson?
Yes, I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion from the commissioners? Okay, so Mr. Stollery, can you call the roll on this since it's an application?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Chairman Gillette,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Coyle,
Yes.
Ms. Culliford,
Yes.
Mr. Ratty's not here, Ms. Nunn,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes, Mr. Stollery.
Mr. Stollery, yes, Mr. Tim,
You
Ms.
got everybody, I think, Tim.
That's it. Okay.
All right, thank you. That's been approved unanimously.
Hold on,
Thank
though.
you,
We have to find
ladies.
out when the pool party's gonna be.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Mr.
Oh,
Basil he can invite us to the pool party when it's open.
You
okay,
can guarantee that one.
nice.
All right, so you'll we'll transmit our notice of our vote to the planning office, and they'll prepare a memo for you that will tell everybody that needs to know that you've been approved through the Historic Commission. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you very
thank you.
much.
Thank you. Have a good night. Good weekend.
God bless you all. Have a good evening.
Thank
Take
you very
care,
much.
Adonis. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank
Okay.
you, Mr. Cole. Bye.
It took a little longer than I expected, but that's okay. We're right along with it. Okay, so the next one is 200 Willow Road. So correct me if I'm wrong, maybe Patrick knows this. I think the applicant is stipulating that this will be a major application and has already done the requirements for a major application. Is that what I'm hearing, Patrick?
Yes, I've already done the notice requirements to be done. Mr. Weller's here to be here for the major application. And they did what they need to do so far, so I can confirm that.
So do we have to, so Patrick, do you think we need to vote on, because we have a separate bullet point here, determination of minor or major, but if they're already stipulating major application, I think we can go right to hearing the major application, correct?
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
All right, so that everybody's agreeing, so that's good.
Does Mr. Willard agree?
Mr. Willard agrees, I think. He doesn't, he agrees. He thinks it's good. He thinks it's all good. All right, so this is the major application. So let me skip down to Nassau Dog Daycare. All right, block 202, lot 15.01, which was formerly 15A, 200 Willow Road, which was formerly 300 Township Line Road. Applicant seeking a favorable recommendation for demolition and preliminary and final major site plan approval, D variance, the C bulk variance, and waivers to demolish an existing barn and garage in order to construct a 4,289 square foot kennel and reconstruct an 864 square foot garage with associated site improvements on property in the agricultural zone. The existing single family dwelling will remain. Now to our part, the subject property is identified in the Historic Preservation Plan element, Hillsborough Township Master Plan, Township of Hillsborough, Somerset County, adopted April 5, 2001, located within proposed Hillsborough Pleasant Valley Historic District. This is also historic site number 110, the C.L. Voorhees House, and it's identified in the National Register of Historic Places. I think that's it. Okay, so I'm going to open it up to the applicant to tell us a little bit about the property. Before you speak, just make sure that we've got your name for the record.
Hey, Mr. Gillette, if I may, Jim Stoll for the applicant.
Great.
I just wanted to introduce myself, Boris Golden and Foley out of North Brunswick. Mr. Peter Lanfrit, whose name was on this, is my partner, but he had a conflict, so we are interchangeable, except I'm a little bit taller than he is. Mr. Willard, I assume that the commission has jurisdiction. We have published and noticed and provided the board with the appropriate affidavit of publication and service.
Yes, and we're ready to proceed with this as a major application.
Thank you, Mr. Willard. I will first call Ms. Hannah Tizer. Hannah, will you raise your right hand, please? Does someone swear her in, or do you want me to do it? Mr. Gillette, you're on
Mr.
mute.
Gillette, you're on mute. There you go.
Yeah, can Mr. Willard do that if you're familiar with it? Because I'm not familiar with it.
I can do it.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Ms. Heiser, do you affirm or swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Put your hand down. It's okay. State your name, spelling your last name.
I'm sorry?
State your name and spell your last name for the record.
Hannah Teiser, Teiser.
All right, just relax. Everything's very nice people here. You have nothing to be nervous about. All right, you are the applicant, also known as Nassau Doggy Daycare. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you own the property where we propose to put this. Is that correct?
Yes.
Will you briefly just tell the board, the commission, what exactly you propose in terms of operation?
So thank you everyone for your time tonight. And my name is Hannah Teiser. I grew up in Central New Jersey and I graduated from Princeton High School in 2006. After that, I went to University of Massachusetts and then returned to the area. I worked in retail and other professions for 10 years. A few years ago, I finally found my passion, and it wasn't retail, it was animal care. So I retooled. I returned to school, completing courses at Mercer County Community College and interning as a veterinary assistant at the Princeton Animal Hospital. I earned several certificates in pet safety, management, and first aid. And I also gained work experience in dog daycare facilities in the area. My basic mission was to open a community-friendly, safe dog daycare facility without resorting to cages or full-time restraints. So here is my application to the Historic Preservation Commission. A little over a year ago, in February 2020, just before the pandemic, I took a big step toward realizing my dream. I purchased a historic house on 5.5 acres in the southwest corner of Hillsborough Township. I intended to renovate the property and build a small business named Nassau Dog Daycare. So as I said, the basic idea was dog daycare for dogs, but no cages. This arrangement is much healthier for everybody. Dogs can socialize with other dogs, their natural friends, and they can move around within limits segregated by size within fenced off play areas. It's good for the dogs and it's also good for the owners, especially after COVID. My alteration to the property involved no significant modifications to the house. I believe in preserving historical properties, but I confess it's not been an easy or inexpensive as I'd imagined. The barn and the garage are unsafe and unsalvageable, as I think the architect and others can attest. Thank you very much for your time.
You didn't leave me any questions, Hannah. You did that so well. All right, we're going to demolish the two buildings as indicated because there's really no value to them and they're not safe. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the animals, the dogs, because many of us are dog lovers, are supervised. You have constant supervision of the animals to protect them from each other. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, just so the commission understands, the house itself, you're not making any alterations to the exterior. You've made some interior changes, of course, for your own personal benefit. You may do some painting or some landscaping, but the building is intact. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and we have two other witnesses tonight who I will call once the commission is done cross-examining or questioning you as to what you said. Mr. Gillette looks like he's ready to ask a lot of questions. Mr. Gillette, you're on mute.
I'm coming. So for the benefit of the public, I think there's two aspects that we look at, the Historic Commission looks at in a case like this. We're looking at what's going to happen physically to the buildings or other structures or other things physically to the property itself for the sake of that property. And then the second thing is what building will be undertaken on the property that may affect the look of the other properties in the historic district. So those are the two aspects that will.
Mr. Gillette, not to interrupt you, but I
Yes,
just want we have an engineer, Mr. Ranger, who will discuss the engineering aspect, and we have an architect. I'm not sure whether it's going to be Ms. Byrne or Mr. Byrne, who will testify as to the elevation and architectural features. So I just wanted the commission to understand that.
No, that's good. So I think we're going to have some questions, but it's good to know then that the main building on the property, the house, is going to remain as is. Essentially, you might paint it. All those things are fine. So we'll narrow it down then to the buildings that will be removed and the new building that will be built.
Yes, sir.
So I'd like to turn it over to. We have some good people on the commission that know a lot about barns and things like that, and they may have had a chance to look at the packet and maybe even look at our survey and Ursula's writings on the property. So I'll turn it over to commission members that have a question for the applicant.
And Mr. Gillette, may I interject here? I just want to make sure I understand. So what's making this a major application before the commission is obviously property, but that they're looking to demolish an existing barn. They're looking to demolish an existing garage, and then they're looking to construct a 4,289 square foot kennel on the property. And we want to make sure that they shouldn't be, the removal of anything that falls within our demolition ordinance as far as the historic commission.
Yes.
And number two is that anything that they construct goes with the historical nature of the area.
Doesn't detract. It doesn't necessarily have to go with it. Well, you've heard this before. It can't. We have some leeway, but we don't want it to substantially detract from the rest of the things. We don't want a 10-foot building there or something with searchlights on or some, whatever. I'm just,
Okay.
Yes, you get that. Okay. So other members with questions for the applicant, if they're better suited to be answered by the engineers or architect, that's good too. Susan, you had something?
Yeah. The barn in the garage, Ms. Tizer?
Yes, Tizer.
Mentioned that they were considered unsafe as an unsalvageable. I was wondering who determined it. Is there a report on a file with this determination, or would that something the engineer is going to present shortly?
Well, if I can just respond without testifying, I don't believe we have a report, but Mr. Ranger has looked at it and is going to opine that it's not historic. There is no real value to it, and it's dangerous as it presently exists. So, I mean, the board can, maybe the board knows some other information, but that's how we're going to present it.
Can I interject something? Can I interject something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Tim.
I just rode past the property yesterday. I didn't stop in. I just, did a circle about in your driveway, and being in construction most of my life, those two buildings are basically unsafe. The garage is about ready to topple over, and the barn, I don't know if you took a ride past, Susan, but that the main building, the barn itself, when they're going to look at my.
Actually, Mr. Coyle, let me share. This is Fred Kinsler. I'm going to share the screen because I think it will help to show everybody.
Absolutely.
What it looks like.
Yeah, since I live down in that area, I do drive by there frequently. But there's nothing that's salvageable, even with the old part of the barn that, I mean, not necessarily remaining standing, but are there parts that could be salvaged that anyone historically, Greg might know this, that might be interested in, or somebody who does historic construction?
I'm gonna let Tim Johnson ask some questions in a second, but just for some context, so what you're looking at was described, right now, was described by Ursula Brecknell in 1981 when she surveyed the property as a large 3-bay English barn with 3 sides clad with horizontal siding and the 4th with a metal board and batten. And also the smaller building she described as a small barn that had been converted to a garage, a double garage. That's the small barn converted to a double garage. So those are the two structures. That's the only thing we really have on them. Maybe Tim Johnson has something to say about it.
Sure. The garage, I'm not sure what time period that is. That looks later than the barn. The barn was actually an interesting design with that peak roof. The later long cat slide off the back there, that was a later addition with the block there. Yeah, that was a later addition. Like I said, the barn is interesting. It's probably early 20th century. It's all sawn. I wouldn't say that is unsafe. I'm not seeing it. I mean, you got lots of 2x material on the ceiling there. That's all good. And to answer your question, Susan, I might drive by there and see if there's something that I might want to salvage as it goes down. But I mean, other than that, it's not as historic as our usual barns. It is probably at least 70, 80 years old.
Maybe 100.
Maybe 100. So it does become historic in that time period. But
I would say that if this was an early or even a mid 19th century barn, Ursula would have indicated certainly on her report in 1980 when it was still in much better condition. She would have, but she just says 3-bay English barn, doesn't that's about it. I mean, then she goes on to just talking about the house.
Yes.
With no attention paid to the barn, which we've seen in other reports.
All the, like you said, all the major members it's all sawn material, so that would indicate it's later than 1800s, even maybe. So
I'm sorry, Tim, did you say sawn or unsawn?
Sawn.
Okay.
If you look at the pictures of the posts and beams, it's
the interiors.
They're all smooth.
Okay, thank you.
If you take a look at those 2x4s, they're married together, but if you take a look at the footing, I bet you can kick them right out. They're just supporting that whole roof.
It's obviously been put in a lot of extra supports over time.
Absolutely.
Because they probably loaded up, put a lot of hay upstairs in there, which was past its load. But that's what they did.
It'd be interesting to take a look at the other side of the barn, not the red side, which captures the eye, but the other side of the barn, and you'll see how dilapidated the barn is from what we call the B side of the property. The A side being the front, what we're looking at. That would be the AD side that we're looking at.
Well, that side looks like it's got metal siding, but the other side, the other end, we'll say, like you said, it's kind of an interesting design.
Yeah.
But,
talking about the picture where it's all wood?
Yeah.
Yes.
And all.
Let's hear from the Mr. Stalls. You said we had the engineer here to comment on that.
Well, on that and also, with the design of the property. Let me put Derek Ranger on.
Yeah, I'm here more to discuss the development side. I'm a land development engineer or a civil engineer. I can't really speak to the structural integrity of the barn or the garage. However, I could say that I've been to the site and I've seen them, and they do appear to me to be in disrepair and in unsafe conditions.
I mean, our application here, I don't want to ignore the two buildings, and I don't know whether Mr. Byrne is going to be comfortable, but our position is we're maintaining the house. Certainly, I think my client would be more than happy to have the township come out when the buildings are demolished, to the extent if anyone in the commission wants to retain, and I'm not being sarcastic, I'm being serious, if there's anything worthwhile in the building that the township would like to retain for other purposes, there'd be no objection. Am I correct, Hannah?
Yes.
That's important for us. And I would hope that we don't have to have a separate structural inspection based upon the long time experience of Mr. Coyle. But let's go, if I may, with Mr. Ranger, just to complete with my program here. Derek, would you raise your right hand? In this matter, do you swear that you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last name.
My full name is Andrew Derek Ranger, Ranger, R-A-N-G-E-R.
That's type of known like a doctor. If you were in the service with me, you could have been Ranger. I have to do that once in a while, Mr. Chairman. Derek,
and if he,
New Jersey engineer.
I am, yes.
And for how long have you been so licensed?
I've been licensed for going on 4 years, and I've been practicing as a civil engineer in the state. Well, I've been practicing as a civil engineer for 11 years.
And have you appeared before Hillsborough before?
I have not.
All right, Mr. Chairman, he is a licensed New Jersey public professional engineer. I ask that he be qualified for the commission.
Without objection from the commissioners, will agree to that.
No
Thank you very
objection.
much. Mr. Ranger, why don't you just describe for the commission what's going to happen? Talk to us about demolishing the buildings. Talk to us about drainage and what we're going to do. We have Ms. or Mr. Byrne here to discuss the architecture, but why don't you just give us a thumbnail sketch of what the engineering is going to be?
Mr. Ranger, this is Fred Kinsler, IT. Do you want me to share any documents, or are you okay? You let me know.
Yeah, if you want to pull up the actual site plan, I can.
Okay. Yeah, you can walk me through it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Give me a second. Let me.
All right. So this is okay. Well, this is the existing or the survey. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's the cover. So the site is located at 200 Willow Road, as you're aware. Formerly 300 Township Road, Block 202, Lot 1501, in the AG or the Agricultural District. The lot borders is right on the turn of Willow Road before the intersection of Township Line Road and before entering Montgomery Township. The lot is a 5.86 acre lot with frontage along Willow Road as well as the Township Line Road. And you can go to sheet, was it 2 for the, yeah. Now this is the plan of survey. These are the existing conditions of the property. So there's an existing 2-story frame dwelling in the front along the entrance. Directly to the west of that is the frame garage that you saw in the photos, and in the rear or the further west, there's the existing barn that you also saw the photos of. There's a large paved driveway with a loop in front of the barn. The development of the property is mainly existing in the central portion of the site. There is wetlands to the north and a large lawn area to the south. And the general topography slopes in the northern section to the west, and the southern half of the site slopes towards the Township Line Road. Now, if you want to go to the next one, should be the demolition plan. So this doesn't have the current limited disturbance. However, you can see all the hatched areas are the proposed areas where we would be disturbing. The plan currently is to not disturb any of the areas close to the existing 2-story dwelling, and removal of the paved drive, the existing farm garage or frame garage, and the existing barn in the rear, both thought to be in disrepair or in unsafe conditions. Now, the next sheet is the actual site plan for what we're proposing. So as stated previously, we're proposing a 4,289 square foot kennel and a proposed 864 square foot garage. There are no changes to the existing dwelling as stated. And along with the kennel and the garage, we're proposing a 15 parking stall parking lot for the kennel use as well as the frame dwelling to park.
What is the purpose of the reconstructed garage going to be? Is that for motor vehicles or for other purposes?
I believe it's for motor vehicles. And I think judging on the current state of the structure, I believe it's not reconstructed anymore. It's proposed to be removed and a new one is placed.
Right, okay.
So we're proposing to meet all the township standards in terms of well, actually, no, we're not. We're proposing a 53.76 foot variance for the rear yard setback, which is, it's greater than the current barn is at, I believe, I think it's 30.84 feet. So we're pushing the development away from that property line to allow for more buffer there. Yeah, so that's now being relocated to the east. Along with the kennel, we're proposing a split of a 6 foot high wooden privacy fence that'll surround the dog kennel area and in that kennel area there is going to be proposed a canine grass area for sanitary reasons and just to keep everything clean. It can be washed out. It's a pervious material, so it's not considered impervious. So we're not increasing the amount of impervious on the site. And internally in that wood split rail or wooden fence area is 4 foot high movable chain link fences. Those are just to kind of separate different dogs and
Different size dogs, like dog runs. There'll be small and medium and large, as Hannah had said.
Yes, that's the understanding. And then we are proposing the 15 stalls are, there are 12 of them are proposed for the commercial kennel and only 3 of them are proposed for the existing dwelling.
Okay.
And if we want to go to the next one, it's the grading and the stormwater, what we're proposing for that. Now, with this, we're maintaining all the existing drainage patterns. So like I said, with the existing conditions, the northern site drains towards that wetlands and then to the west, and the southern portion drains toward Township Line Road. We are maintaining that same drainage pattern and proposing just to kind of smooth out the grade within the dog area. We are also proposing to the north of the kennel a detention basin with a sand bottom to meet the state requirements for reduction. We're not proposing more than a 1/4 acre of new impervious. So at this time of the application, we weren't required to propose any groundwater or
remediation.
Water remediation. So and then for utilities, we are proposing to the south, just outside the southern fence, it doesn't have the dimension on here, but we're proposing a large enough septic field to capture both the kennel and the dwelling. And we're proposing a gas line to go to the kennel as well as the water line, and the existing well on the property. I believe last discussion is to be maintained and just used on the site as needed. I don't believe it's going to be used for drinking water or anything, but Hannah can probably speak better to that. And if you go to the next sheet, that would be our landscaping and lighting plans. This is the utility plans, more just blown up of the grading. This is the sightline profiles. This is just to prove that we have proper sight distance. Being on the corner of the turn, we have more than adequate sight distance for turning in either direction. And this is following both the state and the township requirements. And this is the landscaping and lighting plan. We are proposing site lighting to meet the township standards for lighting within a parking lot, as well as proposing 5 red maple trees along the entrance drive and 7 willow oak trees to the, along the neighboring lot line. And I think that is the extent of the actual development.
Good, thank you. Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, so I have a question for Mr. Thank you for your testimony. I have a question for Mr. Willard. So, the applicant now testified to a lot of things that probably won't concern us. Are we obligated to hear a lot of questions from the public about elements that don't really reflect our decision now that he's testified to them?
No, we should focus our hearing on the historic ordinance because this is going to go through the Board of Adjustment, and the Board of Adjustment will deal with stormwater management and so forth. Unless you feel that any stormwater management facilities, like you indicated, detract from the historical nature of the property, then it wouldn't be relevant. If that's not the case, then it wouldn't be relevant to the board.
Right, things that are mostly, so I'll tell the commission, things that are mostly going to be, for lack of a better word, invisible, are probably not in our purview anyway. Well, they're not in purview, probably not anyway. We don't concern with setbacks and things that, except to the fact that a setback would detract somehow from the historic district. So some of this we're probably not going to consider either way, but there's plenty that we will. I think what we'd like to hear about is what the new buildings will look like. I think that's the next step.
Mr. Gillette, if I can just piggyback on a couple more things from Mr. Willard at this point.
Yes, Patrick.
Also, environmental concerns will be taken up by the Township's Environmental Commission. They're not scheduled before the commission yet, but that will be another aspect of his project. You guys can also look at certain elements that are being incorporated too as a part of this, such as maybe lighting elements or other fixtures on the property to make sure that they don't be in that area also.
I think we'll probably have some questions about that, Patrick. Thank you. But Mr. Stoll, I think we'd probably like to hear about, as I said, about the new construction of buildings on the property. And
we just want to be thoroughly transparent with the commission when obviously Derek went more than we would normally do, but we didn't want to leave anything out, and then you can select what you want to use. Bill, who's going to testify?
That would be myself.
Okay. Do you want to throw anything up on the screen? You want to share?
Can I, excuse me, can I just ask 1 or 2 questions?
Do you have a question on the recent testimony just then? Susan, go ahead.
I can understand that, I don't have it in front of me, that garage is looking really sad. Is the new building going to be in an area that would have been interfered with if the barn was left? Is it in the same location?
Yes, it's not the exact same location. However, there are areas that would overlap.
Okay. The pavement in front of the house, is that paving going to be, the house really looks nice. I mean, it's up on the rise. You see it, it's historic. Is the paving going to be closer to the front of that? Are we going to be looking at the historic house with a paved driveway right in its, a few feet in front of it?
We're not proposing to expand the driveway in that direction. So it's actually expanding to the south of the house. So it won't be encroaching any closer to the actual dwelling.
Okay, so it's going to be basically where it is now. Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
We're
Okay,
not touching the existing edge along that entire northern portion of that drive.
okay, then that takes care of the other question I had about that septic. That's not going to be closer to the house where they're going to be digging something up or putting something mounded in front of it.
Yes,
I see
that's,
the septic tank up there, but I guess the mound is the one at the other end.
yeah, the septic system or the field is down on the southern portion, closer to the Township Line Road.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Right, so maybe if we could see what the buildings are going to look like, I think that would help us get to some more.
Thank you, Mr. Gillette. Thank you. All right, Mr.
Well,
Burbank.
now, hold on, if I may for a second. Chairman Gillette, we do have to give the public the opportunity to question any witness that testifies.
Oh, so should we do we do that witness by witness, or can we hear the last aspect and then have the public question anyone that they like?
As long as the public has the opportunity to at least question any witness regarding their testimony. But again, for the members of the public and everybody else, there is an application that is before the Board of Adjustment. Many of these issues will be decided at the Board of Adjustment. We have to focus for this particular hearing is on what's in front of the Historic Preservation Commission. That is number one. They want to remove some buildings on the property. So the question is, looking at our historic preservation ordinance, is that acceptable? Number two is anything that they're going to construct on the property, how does that fit in with the area and does it detract from the historic nature of the area? Those are the focus of the inquiries, and that's what the public should be concerned about. And the other issues will be addressed at the Board of Adjustment.
So unless Mr. Stoller and Ms. Tizer object to having all of the witnesses available for anybody from the public that comes up, would that be all right?
Mr. Chairman, that is the way I usually do it.
All right, so let's hear the last part. Let's hear. I see this as one more aspect. We talked about the demolition of the existing buildings. We talked about this overall site plan. Now let's look at the new buildings, and then we'll have public ask anything about anything, except where we'll decline to, where we'll steer them away because of what Mr. Willard just reminded us. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gillette. All right, Mr. Byrne, raise your right hand, please. In this matter, you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
And will you please state your name, spelling your last name for the record?
Sure, it's William Byrne, B-Y-R-N-E.
And you can put your hand down now, Mr. Byrne. Are you a licensed architect, sir?
Yes, I am. I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey.
And for how many years have you been so licensed?
I was licensed as an architect in New Jersey in 1999, so.
And your license is still current and valid, is that correct?
That's correct.
Have you ever appeared before Hillsborough? Been fortunate enough?
I don't believe I have.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that he be qualified, sir.
Without objection from the other commissioners, we'll accept his qualification.
All right, Bill, do you want to put anything up on the screen?
I do. If I could, Ms. Byrne from my office would screen share and present our exhibits if possible.
Yeah, I'll make her a co-host so she can share.
And commissioners, you also received in your packet that was mailed some very large, the large prints, which I have opened up on the desk next to me of what we're seeing right now.
Yep.
So what we're seeing.
Bill, if you can describe for the record, we have it up on there. The board has received these plans as part of the package for the variance. Could you just describe which elevation you're talking about and what you have designed?
Sure. So again, this is the new structure that encompasses the square footage that was outlined on the site plan. And we have designed this building in such a way that it captures the flavor of the existing building and certainly the flavor of other agricultural buildings that are in this area and other areas. Again, our office is in Chester, New Jersey, a similar community, very historic in nature and very, very concerned about preserving their historic nature. So, I mean, this is certainly a concept that we're very familiar with. So what we've done here is presented the 4 elevations of the building, the exterior views, The top left view would be the front elevation that we refer to as that which would be seen as you approach the building from the driveway. This would face the main driveway and the parking area. And the building reflects the exterior finished materials, which would be, again, in our estimation, appropriate. We've got a standing seam metal roof, not unlike the roof that's currently on the building that we're going to be removing. The roof includes two cupola elements, two decorative cupola elements that, again, would be consistent with this type of structure, the scale of the structure. The exterior siding on the building, completely encapsulating all four sides, would be a board and batten siding, again, consistent in nature with this type of structure. I think the current barn that we're going to be removing includes a variety of materials, including masonry, cement block, not so historic, some metal siding that replicates a board and batten, and some wood siding that looks like a V-groove or a shiplap possibly. But again, the feeling, with this design is that, we're trying to capture, something consistent with what would be expected in this area and consistent, basically, I would say, with some of the better parts of the existing barn that we're removing. The barn includes some appropriate windows around the perimeter, again, to provide some light and some ventilation for the dog areas inside, but again, in keeping with the architectural style of the agricultural building. Moving to the right, we've got the right side elevation, which in this case actually faces toward the rear. And again, capturing the same materials and some exit doors and a small shed roof that would provide some protection for those doors. Down to the left is the rear elevation, again, which faces the neighboring properties, similar architecture to the front. So we've not compromised on any of the four views. They're all considered equally important, and I think they have similar functions. And the bottom drawing to the right would be the left side elevation. Again, same material, similar materials, and similar elements. So again, a slightly larger version of the existing barn, but we'd like to think in keeping in the flavor of the existing barn that we would be removing on the site.
Are there utilities? I don't want to seem fool. Is this a heated, air-conditioned building?
There is portions of it that would be climate controlled. It would be heated, certainly. Interior portions, offices and things like that would be heated and cooled. It's not determined yet that we would provide cooling, though, for the entire dog area, but we do have the option to open windows. We've got fans. We've got good circulation planned for this building. So
okay. And then just help me out here. Is this it's a one-story building, or is there a second story inside?
It's a one-story building, and what you see here on exhibit is the second sheet of what we've submitted, and it does show just a single floor. We've got dog runs. Those runs will have higher ceilings. Again, it promotes better ventilation, better airflow, and ample windows and exit doors throughout all the spaces. So, but again, as we can see here, the bottom left is the main entrance, the reception area, the interior functional spaces, the kitchen for prep of dog foods. There's interior kennels and dog runs and some private office space.
Okay, well, thank you. Questions from the commissioners about this. We'll just take a few questions because then I'm going to go right to the public while we digest what we just heard. So any questions on this from, I know Susan has something.
No, I was just trying to determine, when you're looking at the house, the historic house, you're going to be seeing what's in the upper left for the front. Which end is the end that would be toward the house? The lower right?
The right side.
The lower right. Okay.
No, is that correct? The top left picture is what you see when if you're standing in, if you drive up the driveway and then look to face the front door of the house and then turn to your left, you'd see the top left picture.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's right.
You know what? Did you see what I mean, Susan? You drive up the drive and you look to the right and see the house, but right in front of you, you'd see the top left picture there.
Well, you're more familiar with historic than I am, so I just wondered if that dark color was, I don't know why. I guess I expected to see something either white or more like that, but.
I don't have a particular objection to it, but I don't want to
nah,
anybody else's.
It's a personal thing.
Okay.
I'm more interested in, I'll jump in quickly if I can. the footprint of this building is going to be quite a bit bigger than the footprint of the house. Is that, I mean, do you have any numbers on that? On the footprint size?
I would defer that question to Mr. Ranger, who did the site plan. I think he may know the comparison more accurately. And this barn is the new proposed building is also larger than the current barn structure that we're removing. But I would again assume that Mr. Ranger could answer those questions.
Yeah, I'm just looking
What the total floor
Greg,
area is being
Greg,
removed.
where you're headed on that is you're asking whether the barn is going to kind of overwhelm the house.
Well, but that's not disqualifying. Certainly, many farm houses, whatever, the barn is bigger. That's not necessarily, but it is somewhat of a change in this property that you'll really recognize the barn. I mean, you're really going to see this, I think.
Okay.
More than the old barn, I think. And maybe when the old barn was new and shiny, you saw that too. You see, so it's hard for me to say what's happened over the last 40 years. I've only been here 28, so I don't remember. I don't know anything before the last 28 years. Anybody else with a question about the buildings? Then we'll go right to the public, and then we'll come back to us.
I just want to make a statement that, I work with Hardy Plank. I do restoration of old buildings, and I've never seen the board and batten application, but I think that's interesting because I prefer Hardy Plank over, say, the metal siding. Absolutely, it's a much better look. I think the building design is good and fitting, and yes, it will be bigger than the current building, but we're getting a new application. The new owner is doing something that with this property and needs something of this size, and it seems like a good use to me. That's all.
I appreciate that. And anyone else from us? All right, let's go to Fred. Let's ask the public now. If any public has a comment on this application, you can ask a question of one of the witnesses that you've heard testify, the applicant or the professionals, or make a comment about the application.
Sure. Well, Mr. Chairman, this is Fred Kinsler.
Yes, Fred.
As a member of the public, I live at 5 White Meadow Road, and the last name's Kinzler. I'll just ask one question to start this out.
Great.
Is the architecture of the new garage similar to the barn? Because I saw no new garage pictures.
Oh, good question.
Show that, yeah.
So the new garage actually looks very much like the old garage. The front elevation depicted on the top left is intended to roughly replicate the look of that existing structure that's being removed. Again, the only change though texturally is that we are going to do a matching board and batten siding on this building. The color of the garage siding hasn't yet been determined, but it would be a board and batten hardy plank type siding. So again, it would be consistent with this type of barn structure, and it would be consistent with the kennel structure.
Okay, great. Because I didn't see that at first, so I just wanted to make sure we didn't see any. I wanted to make sure. So we'll open it up to the public. Thank you. We'll open it up to the public. So again, any member of the public that has a question for any one of the witnesses, again, remember, like the Mr. Willard, the attorney, said, this is a questions on the historic part of this application. The other stormwater management and other planning things will be done at the Board of Adjustments. So again, if you do have questions about the historic side, please raise your hand and please state your name and address for the record when you're called upon. Chairman, I see none. I assume there'll be more at the Board of Adjustments.
That's always a sign of a really good presentation, first of all, when they're not coming out with the pitchforks or whatever they would come out with. So that's really good. So let's go back to the commissioners and think about this a little bit. Let's try to answer the questions, because we'll have to do whatever motion we make, whatever we approve or disapprove, we'll have to write something up about it. That has to be taken on by somebody, maybe me, I don't know. So let's make sure that we answer the two questions. Does the demolition of the older structures and the erection of the new structures, how it impacts the site itself, in and of itself, of the site, and how it impacts the proposed district, which for all practical purposes is a district in Hillsborough Township. So, and in other words, it doesn't detract from the district. So I need some commissioners to comment on either one or both of those two things so that we have something to base our motion on.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say something, Tim Coyle.
Yes, please, Tim Coyle.
In lieu of what we have there on the property right now, the two dilapidated buildings, the garage that I could say, from my perspective, is about to let go any day, and block frontage on that, the old barn is really, I'm trying to stretch it so that I can see that it's historical, but I feel that the barn itself, the bigger barn itself, is in disrepair also. So in lieu of that, with the proposed project that these good folks are going to put on this property, I think it's a positive in the right direction in terms of what this property needs, even though that the buildings that are going to be replaced in the smaller buildings, I think it's with the size of the property and the kennel runs and what they're going to do to the outside would not have a deleterious effect on the historical. And I think it's an appropriate use of this particular property.
All right, so you don't see that detracts from either the property itself or the historic district?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I do. I would like to have seen, probably the only thing my reservation would be to see a sample of the board and batten siding, but I'll have to go to Home Depot and look that up because it piqued my curiosity to see what's going to be going on.
All right, Susan.
Yeah, on the old barn as compared to the new barn, the old barn has that feature off the roof. I don't know what it's called. I think it's where the hay bales were raised and the block and tackle was put underneath it. Maybe Tim Johnson can help me with that one. Is that something that would have been historic to the area? Just take it out of there, it doesn't matter, or what? If you look at the picture of the old barn.
I think you're talking about the widow. I think it's called a widow's peak. That kind of.
Okay, that kind of, yeah, the pointy thing at the end.
The hood. It's a hood that extended out.
That's all it is. Yeah.
So that when you took hay up, there was probably a pulley up under that eave, and so you would pull hay up into that through that large door there. That's a hay door. So okay, it's a hood that stuck out and an interesting looking one.
And sometimes you see that repeated, like mock, whatever, or when somebody's doing an architecture, they want to make it look like something, right, Tim? You see like that put on different buildings, right? Occasionally.
Oh, there's nothing historic or something you'd want it to be added or nothing.
I don't think so from what I know about what I've been able to see about the old barn, I can't see anything in it or about it that would make me require the applicant to restore the barn, no matter what condition it's in. You say it's not in an unsafe condition. Just declaring or even having an engineer say that something's not in an unsafe condition doesn't mean that we couldn't request it to be put into a safe condition. If it was historic that it had to stay. So
I'm not asking for a restoration. I wondered if that should be put on the new barn or it just wasn't.
Yeah. Oh, I see. And so as a design element.
Feature.
Yeah, as a design element in the new barn.
I think the new barn has a different design. It's not. Okay. It's not of that. It's not really that type of barn almost, right, Tim? I mean, the new building.
I mean, it could be put, well, first of all, it's an end feature. And so the ends of the new barn, face are not what people would be looking at. And it could be done, but this old barn, like I said, it was an interesting barn. That roof design is kind of neat and stuff. Very tall and narrow before that addition was put on. It was fairly unique looking barn, but to try and force it on the new one, I think would, be difficult.
Would look out of place, in my estimation.
Yeah, I think this is a completely different
Right.
design, but nice
Certainly the
design.
construction is different.
If I could comment on that too, I mean, I actually did consider that because I think it is kind of a cool element, but what we proposed in the new building is on one gable end, we have a part of the building below it. So it wouldn't make any sense historically because you couldn't raise hay up because you're part of a building there. And on the other side, we felt that shed roof, and again, the other side being the side facing away from the public, that shed roof gives some door protection and some texture to the elevation, just felt to us to be a better element. So that was the main reason I didn't do it. But I do agree with your opinion that that's a very interesting and I think appropriate element. It just doesn't make sense on the new barn though.
Yeah.
I agree with I agree with the architect. Who else? Blair, did you have any other comment? I'm trying to make sure I get everybody.
Nothing, anything that wasn't already stated. I think in looking at the pictures of the old barn, I mean, of course, if it could be restored and everything, it would be nice and salvage anything that we could, but it's a terrible eyesore. And to look at the, proposed plans, I think it's going to add more of value than what's there.
Tim Stollery, did you have anything?
Stollery's left the building.
There you go.
He's here.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. I had a question about I thank Mr. Gorman, Patrick Gorman, for reminding me about lighting. Sometimes at this commission we ask questions about little tiny lights on a little sign, on like a 4x6 foot sign out by the road. So certainly we should ask at least a question or two about lighting elements. Is this going to be lit all the time? Is parking lot going to be lit up all the time? How is lighting going to work? Is it on, poles shining down, or how is the lighting going to work for this kind of sort of a commercial sort of building, right? I mean, you'll have people coming up, driving up, parking their cars and taking their dogs out. So how's lighting working?
I think Patrick. Derek, why don't you just give us a recap on the lighting? We're gonna have security lighting after we close down. Are there, just give us a recap of where the lighting's gonna be.
Yeah. Can I share, or is that?
Sure. The chairman says okay. It's
Hold on.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
let me give you.
We have our tech guy to figure that out.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you'd rather pull up the plan, it's fine too.
No, go ahead. You can share, Mr. Ranger. You
Okay.
should have the capability now.
All right. So can everybody see the plan?
Yes.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
No problem. Let me get my. So can you see the cursor here?
Yes.
So we were proposing a wall-mounted fixture, 2 wall-mounted fixtures along the front of the building, no lights along the rear or the sides, and 1 pole-mounted light in the parking area just to light this side of the parking lot. As you can see, we did light tests or analyzed the light levels, and the proposed lighting won't, basically it dies off before it hits the center of the
property line.
Yeah, it dies off before the property lines. It dies off even before the driveway entrance. As there's very little light spillover or no light spillover to the adjacent properties and or the road.
And will the pole lighting blend in with the design of the house?
We haven't actually. I think right now we just had a generic light, but with Hannah's permission, that can be. These are just generic.
Okay, and I noticed your landscaping in that last one. The landscaping is also going to be sympathetic to the house design?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so it looks good. So you're not, so sometimes you can, when you see a 50, even if a small parking lot like 15 spaces, you don't know, some people go crazy and they put lights up all over it. Every use 5 spaces, another light or something. So I like this better. like this, just with the wall mounted lights in one pole. I think that's, in my opinion, that's great. That's
Our
good.
goal was to, minimize the cost, but
Sure.
not impact any safety issues that potentially
Right.
could be from.
Right. All right. Anyone else? I think we're coming to a resolution on this one.
Greg,
I'll recap before, after we take a motion.
Greg, I'm sorry, I just have one question, and
Yes,
I might
Patrick.
have missed it in the beginning, but what type of fencing is going to be used, and what is going to have matching colors to the building? Are you going to have black, or can you describe that in a little more detail, please?
Good question, Patrick. Fencing.
Anyone?
Bill, is the garage and the dog runs enclosure, are they going to be matching colors?
We haven't really explored the fencing specifics, but I would assume for the aesthetic value of the site, we would want to do something in a matching color, either a white fencing or potentially a black fencing. In either case, something that would be appropriate to the agricultural, nature of the site and the neighborhood. Sure.
Okay.
And what type of fencing is going to be utilized? A chain link, stockade, PVC?
I might defer that question to Hannah, that she may have a better feel for that.
So the perimeter fencing will be a 6-foot wood fencing, and then the interior division fencing will be chain link fencing.
Okay.
A solid wood you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think that that's important, that you would need something like that, because the outside public, if they see a dog running around, that they may catch their eye and lure the dog over and dog be gone. So I think that is a wise decision. We're hearing so much about people taking other people's dogs, and people get heartbroken. But I think that's a wise choice, Anna.
Right. So it'd be like a stockade or board on board or something, 6-foot wood. And you're
Yeah,
gonna,
it has
you're
to.
gonna pick your actual one.
It has to have privacy from what's behind that fence.
That sounds good. Good question, Patrick. Anyone else? I'll sum up, or we'll take a motion, I think, first. If you think you're going one way or the other, I can hear a motion.
I make motion that we approve the project as presented.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
Okay, so I hear a motion and a second. The project, our findings, I would say were that that the demolition of the existing structures did not detract from the site or the district, and the erection of the new structures also does not detract from the site of the district. In fact, several members have commented that that the new construction is an improvement on the site. It was said, so we might as well throw it in there. So without any further ado, Mr. Stollery, can you take a roll call?
I will. Mr. Stollery, how do you vote? Yes. Mr. Jones.
Willard, you're on mute. Did you want to say something? Hold on.
No, I just wanted to know, I missed who was the second on that.
Miss Nunn.
Oh, I was.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize.
All right, sorry,
Apologize.
Mr. Stollery, go ahead.
No worries. Mr. Johnson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Nunn,
Yes.
Ms. Gulliford,
Yes.
Mr. Coyle,
Yes.
Chairman Gillette? Yes.
Okay.
All right, so that's unanimous, of course. We always remind all the applicants that this is the historic element. There's probably a long way to go. You're probably well aware of that, but I also say that for the benefit of the public that is listening now, or that doesn't mean that this project is 100% happening, but from our perspective, it's okay historically to be erected there as presented. So that's great. And we'll prepare a memo. I think we have to do, Mr. Will, do we have to do we have to vote on this a second time?
In what matter? You want?
At another meeting after we draw up some kind of.
We could prepare a formal resolution and then present it at the next meeting. Sure.
Okay, sure. But as they move through other boards, They have, if they're asked what the Historic Commission said, they're still okay that we, right, at this point?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, just to
So,
make sure.
Mr. Willard, I'm assuming we don't have to wait for the formal resolution to be enacted to go back to the zoning board. So we'll look.
When are you scheduled before the zoning board?
I don't think we have a date yet. I have to check with Peter, but you know,
We don't have a
we'll
schedule
get
yet.
scheduled and then we'll go.
Okay. Yeah, no,
Yes,
that's
sir.
fine. I mean, there's no conditions of this. They're approving the approving it as presented. So I don't see any issues with proceeding, but we will formalize it by way of a resolution, and we'll get that adopted at the next meeting, which is what, next month?
I guess third Thursday.
Third Thursday of May, right?
Yeah. So
May
I don't know what
20th.
that is offhand. Third Thursday. It used to be the last Thursday. So, Mr. Stahl, you got a little, like a week and a half sooner, because it used to be for 20 years, it was the last Thursday. We only just changed it during the pandemic.
Hannah and I thank you very much for your kind consideration, and I think you'll be proud when you see what she does with this site.
Thank you. Congratulations, Ms. Tizer.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
All right, so good. We're done with that application. We can move to consideration of old business. And Mr. Gorman, we had a in our, I don't know if it was in our packet, but it was on Civic Clerk, a memo about the Vanderveer Harris House. Did you want to say something about that?
I mean, as you know, this is still an ongoing project. Mr. Maskey has provided you, I think, with the summarization of the current happenings on that property. There was a site visit last week by the director. Nothing much else to add at this point. It's still a continuing project.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's on this like the fourth round or something.
Third, if not fourth, yeah.
I think fourth. And I, as I read Mr. Maskey's, I think he wrote the memo, I think, right?
Yes.
That this is concerning mostly windows and some other elements too, but a lot of window replacement, repair first, replacement if have to be, and solid wood shutters in the appropriate style and all of that, right?
Yep. Anything to bring a historic house back to life, that's what it's taking to do at this point. And it should look very nice once everything's said and done.
All right. Do we have anybody have a question about that?
No.
The memo was in that link on Civic Clerk. I don't know if it was in our packet though. But
Who's doing the work on that? Who's doing the work on the Vanderveer Harris House?
Mills,
Patrick?
yeah, Mills Insuring Architects LLC.
Well, they're the architect. I don't
They're
know.
the architects, right?
Contract, I forget.
I'm not sure who the contractor is.
Let me see if it's in the.
Okay.
Let me see if it's in the. Did he put it in the memo?
Isn't the same guy that did the Larry Lane carriage house?
Yeah, I hope not. I hope not, Tim. That's
No,
a joke.
he's long gone.
I hope that's a joke, because that project was a joke. Oh, we're still recording. Sorry, sorry for. I'm not supposed to say stuff like that because we're recording. I'm gonna get myself. Yeah, Mills and Snoring. Mills and Snoring Architects. Aren't they a vaudeville team from the 1910s?
Yeah, but they're architects also, right?
Mills and Snoring.
Yeah, they're architects and comedians.
Architects and comedians. So yeah, so he doesn't say who's actually the contractor is, but
Mr. Johnson, it's Louis Graham.
Louis Graham.
Louis Graham. Okay. You know where he's from? Where they're from?
I don't have it. I don't have that information.
Okay.
So new screens and storm sash where the storms are missing, historically accurate solid wood shutters at the front and rear elevations of the main house. A few windows require replacement due to extreme deterioration and rot, in which case a new sash will match the existing sizes and profiles. Lead paint abatement. Broken glass paints will be replaced to match existing glass. Existing glass will be reglazed. Damaged existing trim will be repaired. Windows and trim will be repainted. This is phase 4. And I'm sorry, yeah, the completion of phase 4. After they complete this, then they can do the interior. That's the main part. All right. Do we have any other? I don't believe we have any committees out now, so we're almost done. Consideration of new business. Do we have any other business? Any new or old? No. No, nothing. Nothing from anybody.
I got it. I do have an old one.
Okay.
Quick. The Diamond Jim Brady house. You know what the deal was there?
I've heard something, but I'm not at liberty to say, I guess, right? We all look at Tim Coyle when we mention it. Nothing official, Tim Coyle?
Nothing that I could talk about, no.
Right.
How long does that go on for?
I've gone
years.
I've had cases go on for 3 or 4 or 5 years. I'm not saying that this is going to go on that long, but when I was back in Highland Park full time, I had cases that went on many moons. As Mr. Willett would agree that these things aren't settled in one day.
Yeah,
but it is being investigated as
long as it's still going on.
Well, as whatever, it's being investigated, right?
Yep.
It's being investigated. Okay.
Okay, my battery's going to die soon, so.
All right.
Investigation continues.
I'm sorry, Greg, if you're finished.
Yep.
Do you have anything about the 250th anniversary?
Yeah, I didn't attend the last meeting. I was out of town, but maybe Susan, did you attend the last meeting?
No, I think I missed that one. It was the day after I had my COVID shot. I don't even remember. All of a sudden,
you don't remember what town you were in the day after the COVID shot. So but as far as we know, still June 26th. They're working on the kids are going to do, school kids are going to do like a dioramas of Hillsborough history. They're going to build that, and everything's going to be displayed, I guess, on June 26th at the big fireworks show. That's when the any activities related to Hillsborough 250th will take place. Next month, I'm also going to do something for the Somerset County seniors. I guess it's going to be over Zoom. They usually meet, on South Branch Road near the municipal building at the county senior building, right? Susan, is that the county senior building?
The one over in Bridgewater you're talking about?
No. I think just right over here in Hillsborough, just down South Branch Road from the municipal building, past the soccer fields, right? That little building there. But anyway, it's going to be over Zoom anyway. I'm going to do a presentation about Hillsborough history. So if anybody is a senior, maybe I'll give you the Zoom link so you can say join in. I don't know.
Chairman, just to make a note, this is Fred Kinsler at 9:09. We lost Mr. Johnson. I guess his battery died.
His battery went off. Okay, so Tim, that's about all I have really. Tim Stoller, are you going to make any presentations? Tim Stoller, are you going to do anything? You're presenting anywhere?
You mean for the 250th?
For all your usual stuff. This is your chance. Say your plug before I ask for adjournment. You got 30 seconds. You got 20 seconds. You got 10 seconds.
I got nothing.
You got nothing coming up. All right.
Before you adjourn, Fred, can
Yes.
you please email me the exhibits from this application that you have?
Sure will. Yes, I will.
All right. I want to
Thank
thank Patrick Gorman, Fred Kinsler, and of course, William Willard. Make a rare appearance to help us with a major application. We really appreciate that. And
It's always great to see you guys.
Stay safe, everybody. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Wasn't there a movie about rats named Willard? Remember that movie?
Fortunately, I was a little bit younger. My older sister was the one. She got it when she was in high school. She was called The Rat.
The first movie was called Ben, and the sequel was Willard.
Is that true?
Called my
I thought they were
sister
two
The Rat.
separate movies.
Two movies.
Two movies. Okay.
And
All right.
you had
And Michael Jackson sang the song to the mouse.
That's right, Ben. That's right.
I'm old.
Michael Jackson's song, and I believe that was one of the movies where, when you went into the movie, they gave you a vomit bag.
Because it was scary.
And people were upset and getting sick. Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Listen,
It was a great
thanks for that.
movie.
I mean, I don't know how that fits in with our meeting at all, really. To tell you the truth.
That's historical. Come on.
Yeah.
That's true. It's historical. Now we're
It's
dating back to the
hysterical.
70s. That's historical.
It's a historical meeting.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you,
fingers
everyone.
crossed we can meet in person again soon. Okay, so motion to adjourn, somebody?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. See you.